So why to become a monk? You have enough suffering in your life, so why increase your suffering? Why to live a celibate life? Why to live an austere life? To increase suffering or to overcome suffering? The Christian monks thought that life is a sin, so they punish themselves to get rid of the sin that is inherent in life. We don't think this. We don't have the idea that life is a sin, so we do not punish ourselves. Actually, we do use this method to overcome avijja, to get rid of the kilesas, to get rid of the stains. There are methods that work well. There are methods that were given by the Lord Buddha to his monks. And they work for the last 2,500 years. And they're still working at the moment. The phrase of punishing is, one can see it in this way, but one can see it also in another way. When you have dirty clothes, you boil it up to get out the dirt. Without boiling it up, the dirt and stains will not be removed. So what is the monk doing? He's boiling up the kilesas, so that they're going from his heart. Boiling up the citta, so that the kilesas are going to be removed from the citta. Without any force, the kilesas will not disappear. The kilesas will not show up. So, boiling up, the ways of boiling up for a monk is to live the celibate life and is to live an austere life, a life of austerities. And not only this, when you look at the life of a monk, or when you look at the life of the monks that are here in this monastery, when you have observed it, we eat our food from one bowl. We put everything in this bowl. And we do not eat with a spoon, we eat with our hands. Have you ever eaten ice cream with your hands? Or noodles or things like that? You just skip them. Because you just don't eat it. So these kind of things we do for boiling up the citta, to get out the kilesas, to see them very clearly, see greed and hate and delusion. And once we see them, we can counteract them and get rid of them. If you don't see them, we cannot counteract them, and we certainly cannot get rid of them. So if you don't, for instance, don't live a celibate life, we don't see the forces of raga tanha, the force of sensual desire, the forces of sexual desire. So we cannot get rid of it. That's the reason why we live a celibate life. And don't underestimate the power of sexuality. It is in so many different forms. It comes in wealth, it comes in power, it comes out in sexuality itself. So it's all disguise. If we don't undisguise it, we will never see it. And that is the sole purpose of our life as a monk. And not only this austerities, and not only the celibacy we also go into places that are frightening. We also go in places that are dangerous, to really boil them up. To be so afraid when we sit in the way of a tiger that he comes up and eats us, and to counteract that. When you read the biography of Ajahn Mun or Padipada, the stories of all the bhikkhus who did it in this way, they didn't punish themselves, but they were boiling up the things that we most dread, to see how they can counteract. So pain, fear of death, death itself, are things that threaten us through all our life. Pain, illness, and things like that are threatening. So we bring it up and use it to counteract them, to get rid of them. So that these things are not a threat to us anymore. So that we can live a life of freedom. Freedom from threat. Freedom from danger. Freedom from worries. And that's the whole purpose. So if we don't go against the grain, we will not be very successful in our freedom. I doubt that you think that you're a slave. But the moment you sit down and try, you really intend on trying to keep the mindfulness on the Buddha or on the breath, something comes up and deters you. And this thing, or this phenomenon, or this power, has you as a slave. It tells you to do this, it tells you to do that. And you go for it. He's your master. And you are the slave. You're just giving the arms, the body, for it to fulfill its purposes. But when you want to do something for yourself, like sitting down in meditation and getting the mind calm, it won't allow you to do it. People in the world fight tyrants. People in the world fight, give up their lives for freedom, for the freedom of the body. But we are in prison all our life long. We are imprisoned to the power of the kilesas, to the power of avijja, to the dark law. But we never see it this way. We think whatever we want to do, is that what we are. We think whatever, comes up, is that what we are. But why do we suffer? If that is really what we want, why do we suffer? Why do we have to come? Isn't it a bit crazy, We fight for freedom in the worldly means. We do this and do that to gain our personal freedom, or some of us, like me, for instance, to be completely unconventional. I never liked to be pressed in any kind of forms of convention for my whole life. So I tried to fight them. I tried to follow. But what I did is just put up another convention. Like in my age, the Beatles were coming up with the long hair, so we grew long hair. Just against the conventions of our elders. But that is just another convention. An anti-convention to the convention. Because the young people agreed, to grow their hair long. And now the people agree, to be dressed like punks or skinheads or whatever, They just follow another convention. To be really unconventional is to be oneself. Truly to oneself. Not afraid of this or that. Not to be worried about this or that. The freedom to say whatever one thinks. And whatever is in line with the truth. Not afraid that some other people don't like this idea. And you don't have any backup because there's nobody behind. This is unconventional. To be able to say what one thinks and what is in line with the truth, without being afraid that somebody comes, and hooks you up, or puts you into prison, or puts you to death, or puts you on the cross. Because if you say certain things in the Western world, it's very easy to get into prison, or Sanatana Mahabodhi said certain things a few years ago, and the political party or the government wasn't very happy about that. Well, he called them a bunch of what is Aasgeier in English? Aasgeier? Aasgeier. Vultures, yes. He called them a bunch of vultures that live on the inner parts of their fellow society, or fellow human beings. They didn't like that, to hear that. So he said, if you don't like them, why don't you chuck me out? Throw me out of Thailand. Or kill me. He didn't care. He just said that what is in line with the truth. And they were really living off the other people. They were cheating the other people out of their riches. They were selling Thailand to the Western countries. He said, that is our country. Why do we sell it, or why are these people selling it? For their own personal enrichment. Not for the wealth of all the Thais. But of course, the people who did it didn't like to hear that. So they tried to get against him. But he didn't care. Anyway, it turned out, that the people of Thailand were behind him. But that is something, that is something unconventional. Now, let's go back, Go back to the prison. In two forms we are imprisoned. First of all, we are in this prison of this five khandha. We are in this prison of the body. We cannot leave the body. How can we? Then we are prisoners of Vedana, of feeling, of memories, of thoughts, and of consciousness. But that is bearable. But what is worse? That is something. Is enslaving us. Making use, it's like wardens in the prison. Who just, tell us to do this or tell us to do that, and we do it. Because we are their prisoners. Well, now in the next few days, look at what your mind always tells you. I want to do this, I want to do that. I want to drink this, I want to drink that. I want to eat this, I want to eat that. And what is happening before you want something? What is happening? Something in your heart is unpleasant. That's why you want to do things. You want to change. You want to escape. You want to escape from the reality. And that's why a lot of things we do or we don't want to do. In the end, we regret it. We do things that we regret. Isn't it? We did a lot of things we regret. So actually, when you call it this way, you can call it, we are drunkards. Most of the time, we are people who don't know what they're doing. Because we are not mindful of what we are doing, and why we are doing it, and what kind of results it has on us. It's just like people who are drunk. They just don't know what they say, they don't know what they do, and when they wake up, they hardly remember. And if they remember, or if somebody else tells them, then they feel sorry for what they've done. So, now do you get the idea? Mindfulness is the key where we are in control of the five khandhas. Only if we are mindful. Only if we are mindful of what we are doing, why we are doing, and what results it has, are we actually the one who is in control. Now when we are mindfully of our Buddha, then we are in control. The moment the Buddha slips away, then somebody else is in control of us. And he goes for hours. He goes here and there, He just likes to go on tour. But that he just likes to go strolling, going forward. Goes to stroll out here and there. And he brings back a lot of restlessness. Isn't it? You've seen it. And the heart becomes restless about the thoughts about the past, or the thoughts about the future, or the worries and the fear or the pain or whatever it is. So he goes out for a stroll and he brings up all this restlessness. So in order to get rid of this dark lord of avijja, well, we have to put up a fight. We have to fight its power. It's like with every tyrant. We have to fight its power. We have not to give in to what he wants or what he dislikes. And just do what we set our mind to do. See? That's the nature. Playing all the time. Like we play. Or actually we can say, we don't use our brains. We use it for masturbation. Isn't it? Most of the time we think things that we think that are pleasant or exciting. But that they have no use. It's nothing else. And if you call it masturbation, it's the same thing. They have no use whatsoever. When you dream, what's the point of dreaming? Most of the dreams, most of our thoughts, 99% of our thoughts are just garbage. They have nothing whatsoever to do with the reality. The moment we are mindful, then we get in contact with reality. And the moment we think, we are somewhere else. We're in our ivory tower. Well, let's go down. Let's go back down to reality. Isn't it? There's special people who study, they can get completely lost in their subjects. And the pure wife that gets that professor, has a hard time, to get him down on reality, to go back to eat. To go back to take care of his body and his personal needs. But it's not only this crazy professor who lives up there, it's all of us who live up there. We are not in contact with reality. The only time we are in contact with reality is that point or that moment we are mindful. Mindfulness is the important key to all of the practice. That's why the Lord Buddha stresses it so much. That's why the Lord Buddha said, a person who is mindful for 7 days without lapse can reach enlightenment within the 7 days. That's the power of mindfulness. If he is not all the time mindful, And it might take 7 weeks, 7 years, or 7 lives. So mindfulness is the key. Mindfulness, having a full mind on the subject or on the object we investigate. Not being diverted into this direction or that direction, diverted by the thought, or diverted by our memories, or diverted by our feelings. Who is in control of this body? Are we in control or something else? If we are mindful, if you are completely mindful, if you're resting down in Samadhi, the body just doesn't sit. The body just does not move. If we don't give an impulse to the body, it won't move. The body would just look like a vegetable, a dead vegetable. If you're sitting or if you're lying down, it's just like a dead vegetable. It doesn't move. And the mind or the chitta is completely concentrated. So there's a part of us, or if you call it the Dark Lord, or if you call it avijja, or if you call it kilesas, it doesn't matter, that constantly move this body. And constantly moves the thoughts, and constantly moves this memory for its entertainment. And we are the one who have to pay the price. Well, if you have a flat, or if you have an apartment, or a house, if you see somebody come, and you are suspicious of him, because you are afraid that he's going to mess up your house or apartment or flat or whatever, do you let him in? No. You lock the door. But do you do that with your mind? You let every thought, every memory, how no matter how painful it is, let it in. And foster it. Give it some more nutrients. Why? So, ask yourself, who is in control? Who is really in control of this body? If I really say I'm in control, then I can do what I want. And if I want to get calm, I can get calm. Otherwise, there's some other force that is in control of us. And if you don't want this way, then we better get rid of it. Now look, you have a few days, maybe you have a few days, to see it. Maybe a few days is not enough to see that power that is controlling us. Controlling us not only this life, but when we die, it will control our next life. And it has already controlled so many lives, uncountable lives. Dhanaja Mahabua said when he saw his previous birth, and he would just put the bones of his previous birth on the land mass of Thailand, there wouldn't be an empty space. Now can you imagine that, how many births he has gone through? One square meter, how many skeletons, will fit on 1 square meter? And how many 1,000 square meters are there? Then you can imagine how many lives you have already lived. This is just one life that you're living now, that you remember. The next life is coming up. And then the next life. And we have done in this life just the same thing as we have done in our previous life. And in our next life, we will do just the same thing as in this life. So what is it? What is it what we want? What is it what we're looking for? What is it what we haven't got yet? And what we think what we need to get? We all look, more or less, for happiness. Well, happiness is just right here in the heart. The Lord Buddha said, Nibbana Paramang Sukham. It's the ultimate happiness. Because we are free of worry. We are completely content. We are completely satisfied. So this is one aspect. Another aspect is the principle of anatta. Now, anatta means not so. Whatever that means. Think about it. The body. Is it yourself? The body is born without your doing something. And the body dies without you being able to prevent it. The body gets sick without you being able to prevent it. And the body gets old. So if the body would be yourself, you would be able to control it, wouldn't you? If I call something myself, if I call it my money, then I can spend it in line with my wishes, or? That's what I call mine. But something, that doesn't belong to me, why should I call it mine? Something that grows on itself, something that gets sick of itself, something that dies of itself, why should I call it mine? And why should I feel attached to it? We never think in this way. We never reflect upon these things. If that would be really my body, well, I can give it a new shape. If I don't like this, I don't like that, then I can give it a new shape. Whatever, is mine, I can do whatever I want to with it. But this thing, just sticks. Just is attached to us. And the same thing with feeling. Well, if you have a nice feeling, then you probably don't mind. But if you have not such a nice feeling, can you change it? If you have feelings of pain, can you change them? No. I doubt it. And you know that you can't change it. If you have a nice feeling, you can't prolong it. When the nice feeling goes away, then it's gone. And we're looking for it the next time. So are we actually in charge of the feelings? Are we actually in charge of Vedana? That means feeling. Memory is the same thing. These things do not belong to us. Memory just comes up. It pops up. Yeah? And then we think it's mine. We cannot control it. If we don't want to pop it up, it will pop up. If we want to pop it up, it won't pop up. So, how can we call this thing self? If we are not even in control of it. It has nothing to do with us. Same for thinking. Look at the thoughts, you concentrate on the word Buddha and all these crazy thoughts are coming in. Are they yours? You think they are yours. And we think that are all mine. But we cannot even control them. Something that we are not able to control. How can we call it us? How can we call it ourselves? Isn't it a misconception that we have? And that is what the Lord Buddha teaches us. All these things, all these phenomena in this universe are anicca, anatta, and dukkha. Anatta is not self. They arise and they cease. They arise, stay on for a while, and then they cease. Arise, stay on, and cease. Arise, stay on, and cease. If we like it or not, they still arise. And they still cease. If we like it or not, if we want it or not, they will arise and cease. Just in line with their own true nature. And so is it with this body, and so is it with Vedana, with feeling, so is it with memory and association, and so is it with thinking and consciousness. All these things do not belong to us. That is not me, that is not myself, that does not belong to me. Whatever can I observe? And I can observe the body. I can observe Vedana. I can observe memory. And I can observe thinking. And I can observe consciousness. You wouldn't call, everybody of you sees this column. You wouldn't call this column yourself, or this cage behind you. You wouldn't call it self, or just because you can observe it. Or the leaf, or the chicken. But these things, Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana, that's what we call self. And we have not the slightest control. Not the slightest control. So, am I crazy or you? We call something a self that we don't have control over. They're just arising within their own nature. And ceasing. And arising and ceasing. And they will deal with that to the end of their time. And we're trying to manipulate them, and we try to force them in this way or that way. And if they don't go this way, then we feel unhappy. If they go this way, because of their own nature, not because of us, then we're happy. We play a game, a fruitless game, fooling ourselves that we are in charge of these things. So anicca, anatta, dukkha. Anicca is impermanent. Everything arises and everything ceases. Whatever arises and ceases is not ourself. It's just something that we observe or something that we know. It cannot be self. It arises on its own nature and it will cease on its own nature. Anicca, anatta. And because we are attached to these things, and I would say, every one of you is attached to Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara and Vijnana. Everybody is attached to his body. Everybody is attached to his feeling. Because I call it my feeling. And I call it my body. And I call it my memory. And especially I call it my thoughts. My thoughts. And I'm going to pretend my thoughts. I put them out, or I sell them. Because they are my thoughts. And I get some money for it. And it's my consciousness. There are tools. There are tools on the way. But we have to gain the power over them. We have to use them. We have to use the body for being able to go along the path. We have to use Vedana to understand Vedana. And we have to use Sanya to understand Sanya. And we have to use thinking, Sankhara, to understand Sankhara. And Vijnana to understand Vijnana. That's what we have. We have to understand its true nature. We have to see that they arise and cease. Arise and cease constantly. And they have a law behind it. And we have to understand that law. Why they arise, how they arise, and how to counteract them. So for us, these 5 khandhas are the tools that we have, and we can only use them the moment we are mindful. If we are not mindful, somebody else is using these tools to create havoc. Havoc in our chitta, havoc in our heart. And that's what most of the time happens. So when we get down in calm, when we get down into Samadhi, or when we go down into deep Samadhi, we will see that none of these things will exist in that state. But we still are there, or something is there. The knowingness still remains. And we feel incredible or wondrously happy and content. And then when we get all our luggage back, it's like having a heavy backpack and climbing a high mountain. A heavy backpack full of heavy stones. once we get out of them. But we love to carry them. And not only that, we love to put even more stones in them. Stones of attachment. I like this, I like that. I don't like this, I don't like that. So our backpack is full of attachment to this world, to this body, to the feelings, to our memories, and so on, and so on, and so on. And there's no end. So if we once free ourselves of this heavy luggage, then we feel very contented and very happy, and there's nothing missing. And once we get back, everything is back to the normal. We have our backpack and we have to climb this high mountain. But this experience of the deep Samadhi brings us some understanding that these things do not belong to us. So we can work on them. We can work on them with a method of investigation, with a method of looking for what they really are. And the first thing is, we're looking at it is the body. This wondrous, wonderful body. It's amazing, this body. Whatever we put into it, whatever we clothe it, it's nice and beautiful. Whatever comes out, we don't want to smell and what you don't want to see. It's a factory. If a factory like this in the world wouldn't be able to exist, you put only nice things into this factory. And what is the result of this factory? Comes out garbage, stinking garbage. I don't think that anybody would buy the products of this kind of factory. But we put up with this. Or is the thing, the thing that you put in your mouth, the food that you put in the mouth, or the drink that you put in your mouth, that's nice, isn't it? Yeah. Has a nice taste. And once it comes out, where's this nice taste? We don't like to see it, we flush it away. Strange, isn't it? The things that come out of our body. The shirt that we wear for 2 days, especially when it's hot. You don't want to smell. You put it, we put it in a basket, and put it then in the washing machine. Where is this coming from? Have you ever thought about this? Where's this smell coming from? When we just put our clothes, on the line, it doesn't get the smell, does it? So it's not coming from outside. The sweat, the pus, the blood, it's not coming from outside. It's coming from this very body that we so much care about, that we so much love. And with so little control of it. So little. It gets sick, whenever it gets sick. And when it gets sick, we feel so unhappy. So we run to the next doctor and get some medicine. And most of the time he can heal it or he can help us, and so we are relieved after a few days. But in quite a few cases he cannot. And we have to die of the sickness. And then we are even more sad. But we have never, not a single moment of our life we have considered this. These things we have just borrowed. They do not belong to us. And this body is the nurturing earth for the plant of greed and hate. You know all greed. You know all hate. Greed is not only greed. Greed is just wanting something. Hate is not only hate. It's just disliking something. It's all kind of variations of dislike. And greed is all variations of wanting. So, Nobody of you or nobody of us can say that we are not greedy. Of course we are. We constantly want something. And we constantly don't want something. We don't like when it's too cold, and we don't like when it's too hot. We don't like when we are thirsty or hungry. We just don't like it. Or we like this, or we like that. So how to get out of this mess? To get out of this mess, I said yesterday, we need Sila, Samadhi and Panya. So first of all we have to train Samadhi. The power of concentration and the power of mindfulness. It's something that we have to develop. Like any skill in the world, we have to develop. You all can walk. Oh? How long did it take you to walk? How many years? 1 year, 2 years? And how often did you hit your head? How often did you cry? You remember? Most probably not. But you know it all from little children. They get up, they fall, and they get up again. Once the tears are dry, they get up again. Because they want to walk. It's a skill we have to develop. And that's the same thing. We have to develop the ability to concentrate. We have to develop the ability to be mindful of what is going on. You all can speak. Huh? How long did it take you to speak? How long did it take you to be able to utter sounds? Even longer than to walk. But you didn't give up. Even when the parents were laughing about you because you uttered something very strange. You didn't give up. You wanted to talk, you wanted to walk. And now you want to be mindful. And now you want to center your mind in peacefulness, in happiness. So you need to go through the same steps to develop the skill of walking, learning to walk the mind, putting it there where it belongs. And then investigation. Investigation, the first and most topic is the body. Because there, greed and hate take their roots. So if you have a plant in a pot with earth, and you rip out the plant or you destroy the earth and the pot, the plant has to die. So it's the same thing. So we rip out that body. We investigate it over and over again for what it really is. Until we truly understand it in its line with its nature. And then the plant of greed and hate will die. If you keep that body as a sacred thing, then there's no way to go against greed and hate. So that is the foremost investigation. For us as bhikkhus, for us as monks, that is the topmost investigation. And when you listen to the talks of Tanachen Mahaboa, that's what he talks most of the time. And he gives instruction to his monks. It's always the same topic. Investigation of the body. Inside out. From top to bottom. From bottom to top. From inside outside, from outside inside. From detail to cross, from cross to detail. Going in, making a journey inside the body and see how it really is. That is another skill we have to develop. So they're all new skills. On the path of practice, they're all new skills. Skills that we are not able to perform yet. So we have to get the basic method to be able to do it. So we have to develop this certain kind of practices to be able to go along the path. And coming back to the Dark Lord, or coming back to avijja, the moment we go on the path that undermines his power, then of course he gets in our way. He will inflict us, because he has the power over the khandhas, so he will inflict us with pain, he will inflict us with memories, he will inflict us with doubt, he will inflict us with laziness, with fear, with all these nice things that we so much love. Or maybe we do not love them. Fear we love. Doubt we don't like. We want to be sure. So he inflicts us with all these things to deter us from our determination, to deter us from our practice. As long as we play the game of avijja, it won't harm us. The moment we play the game of undermining his power, then he will come. He will come with doubt, with laziness, with sloth, with torture, with pain, and so on. And then, for the real practitioner, then he knows he's on the right path. Because if nothing is happening, we will have no chance. We are just playing around in the realms of avijja. So, that lets us summarize that the path of practice is very much like a soldier. The life of a soldier, or the battle of a soldier against an enormous enemy. And the Lord Buddha himself said, to be a soldier and battle against the whole army as one person is easier than to battle yourself. That's where the word of battle comes in the scriptures of the Lord Buddha. And if you read this biography of Ajahn Mun, or if you know the training of Thanachand Mahaboa, then it's only battle. Battling fear, battling pain, battling everything. Battling the kilesa. Battling. Constantly being in a fight. Thanachand Mahaboa compares it to, boxing is in Thailand a big sport. So he compares it, going into a boxing ring with a champ. You are untrained boxer, and you go in the ring with a champ. So the first thing is you're knocked out. So you go in. The moment you get conscious again, you go back in until you get to know the boxer, how he gets out his blows. And then you duck. Once you duck the first time, you will be very happy. And once you give him the first blow so that he's knocked out, then you'll be very happy. And once you knock him out of the ring, then you'll be extremely happy. Yes, well, it's probably not a very encouraging idea, or it's not a very encouraging way of thinking or encouraging introduction to the path of practice. But it will end up to that. So why not telling you the truth? If it boils down to this. If we want to be free, and you know what people do for freedom. They fight for freedom. They even fight for freedom, giving up their lives for freedom of other countries. Giving up their lives. All what we have to give up is our things that do not belong to us. Give up our views and our opinions and things like that. That keeps us in prison. But we are so attached to them, aren't we? And the moment I give you a chance, they just come whoosh out. I want to know this, I want to know that. Yeah, isn't it? We are never satisfied with what justice. We want to know about this, want to know about the whole world, about the universe. We go out, and find our solar system. Now we want to explore the next solar system. The farther it is, the more interesting it is. The closer it is, the more disgusting it becomes. So we'll never go inside. We always go outside. We never want to know how this whole thing is working, how this is functioning. So I asked myself, when I started a practice a while ago, what the hell is going on? Who is in charge of it? Because the moment I was mindful, I saw that I am not in charge of it. And that startled me. And that brought me to practice. I'm not in charge of it, I want to be in charge. I don't want to be a prisoner. I don't want to be enslaved. I want to be the master. The master who can set up his 5 khandhas as he wishes. Not as somebody else's, directs him. That's a fight for inner freedom. Inner freedom is not the freedom from the khandha. Inner freedom is the freedom of the heart. Not afraid of anything at all. Not worried about anything at all. That's the freedom of the heart. So, and with this, I close this very encouraging talk.